All right, guys, so we are actually packing up to leave this campground in Victoria, Texas. I was able to install the security system, get the Simply Safe system in place, put some blink cameras on the outside, which was definitely an accomplishment. I wanted to quickly make a video going over some of the challenges we've had with the RV so far. And none of them have been major except for one, and it's definitely one I think you all should know about. So hang tight, I'll be right back. All right, so the first and main challenge that we've had is on the inside, some of these valances. So they're all connected with these screws back here. The challenge is they stick off the wall, so if you recline this chair, you can see that this can make contact with that. And so far, I have not, I would say broken, but this one's come off. The screws come out, this one's come out, that one's come out, and that one's come out. And the problem back here is that you don't have a lot of room for your chair to go back before it hits this. So if you bump into it, you risk pulling the bottom of the valance out. What they probably should have done is, well, really, I don't know what they should have done unless they just secured these better to a backer here. That's one thing I loved about the Van Lee Beacon, is that the valances all felt incredibly rock solid. I mean, you felt like you could pull on one with all your might and it probably wouldn't come loose. And I think I made a video showing that. So installing a backer behind these would definitely be better with better fastening hardware, because again, I've had to reinstall both of these bottom ones. I think even this one over here. Aside from that, we haven't had too many interior issues. The only other one is up here, and it's the fact that this door binds, and you can probably hear it, and it's binding right here in the opening, so you can see where it's making contact, and that's something I can fix. But yeah, that's been doing that pretty much since we got the RV. Over here, I already did a video where the entry light didn't have its own switch, so I had to put a temporary one in. They're mailing me a new switch that I'm going to put right here and wire up correctly so I don't deal with that problem. Bedroom, we haven't had any issues at all inside of the bedroom, so it's been working really well. We're pretty much packed up here. These end tables, which I absolutely love because of how they're attached to the slide fascias right here, they tilt in a little bit on each side. It doesn't seem like it's a major issue, but they're not perfectly straight. But that's not that big of a deal. Now, you can see the gap right there. So the point of having these blackout blinds is the fact that you can black out the entire interior of your RV. But in the morning, it gets pretty bright because light bleeds in through any opening. And we're probably going to have to come up with some type of a fix for that, just because, again, you have this really, really bright source of light kind of flooding into the room, even with the blackout blinds closed. The ACs have been absolutely fantastic. I mean, we probably couldn't have asked for a better experience from an air conditioning perspective, because even though it's been incredibly hot and humid outside, the inside has stayed very, very comfortable. So that is really nice. I'm trying to think of what else. The shower worked really, really well. A lot of water pressure. The outside spray ports worked really well. But let me go over the one major issue that we're having. Okay, so the first major issue we're having is actually a pretty significant one. The gray tank release lever right here apparently is either broken or not connected to the actual valve in the plumbing system. There's two gray tanks. There's one here that's for the shower and the sink in the bathroom, and there's one right there that's for the kitchen and the outside shower. That one works, and the reason why I discovered this is last night before we took showers, I closed the gray tank because we're leaving, and I like to let the gray tank fill up with water. That way, after I'm done emptying my black tank out, I flush it with the gray tank water. I think most people do that. And when I checked the tank levels, which should have shown maybe half full, they were still empty. So I came out here and I opened this gray tank to see if I would hear any water flowing through, and I didn't hear anything. So I went under here and I slightly opened the kitchen valve to listen for any water in there, and I heard water come out. So I knew right off the bat that this thing is stuck in the open position, which is actually better than being stuck in the closed position. If it was stuck in the closed position, I wouldn't be able to actually drain the tank. So that's kind of a good thing. Now, I also have this termination right here, which is kind of a blessing, because having it in place kind of just prevents anything from flowing out whenever we get to where we're going, now that the gray tank is stuck open. At least it's not the black tank that we're having problems with. That one's working fine. So yeah, we have a bit of an issue. And then to make things even worse, the campground we're at just had a major water main break over here, and they had to shut water off. So I'm having problems even flushing my system out. I think they might have just turned it back on. But yeah, it's a pretty big issue. I already spoke to the folks over at Coachman about it. They basically said there's a clip at the end of this where it connects that likely sheared off or broke or became disconnected. Something happened with it, and they're gonna have to replace that entire valve assembly at the end. Big bummer. Not the end of the world. It's kind of expected that you're gonna have some problems. I believe that was actually an issue before we took possession of it. I don't think that happened during the shakedown, because I had noticed before with this in, this valve stuck out a little further, and it only moves about 1.5 inches. But you can see this one moves about 3.5 to 4 inches. So that should be what the gray tank lever does as well, and it's obviously not doing that. So we're draining the black tank. I'm gonna flush it out with the gray tank from the sink, and that should clear the line out right here. I believe water's turned back on because, yeah, that's definitely pressurized now, and I'll be able to use my black tank flush, which will definitely come in handy. But yeah, this is definitely some of the things you run into whenever you're camping, and you should just kind of get used to it, I suppose. I mean, ideally, you shouldn't have an issue like this. The Chaparral we had did not have this issue, and the valves worked perfectly through the entire time we owned it. We never had an issue with that. So clearly, this is something that can be improved. I don't know if it's a component issue that needs to be improved, an installation issue, manufacturing issue, not exactly sure. But that's really the only one. The other thing we had to do last night, we had to adjust the zero set for the auto leveling. Basically, I had to lower the front down a little bit because stuff was rolling towards the back. That was actually really simple, going through the process of kind of reconfiguring it. And all you do is you go into the touchscreen panel, you put it into a re-zero mode or a zeroing mode. You get everything where you feel it's level. I used a water bottle on the counter to make sure it wouldn't roll forward or back. We dropped the landing gear a little bit, hit enter, and it re-zeroed the whole thing. So that wasn't a big issue at all. Aside from that, we're not running into really any other issues. This is a big enough one, so that's definitely one that is worth talking about, and it's something that hopefully we can get fixed relatively easily. Thankfully, most of these panels on the inside, as you saw in a previous video, come down pretty easy, and you have quick access to that stuff. Now let me turn the ice maker off. So yeah, things have been working out pretty good for the most part. This trip was a bit more stressful than most. I think most shakedown trips tend to be, because you're still trying to get everything situated and organized where you want it to be. And that can take some time, and you're probably going to be sweating more than you might normally during a typical RV trip. We didn't get an opportunity to really explore the area as much as we would have liked. There's a beautiful lake that we'll probably stay at next time that way. And it's called Coleto Lake, but it's really, really nice. Or Lake Coleto Creek Lake, I'm not sure what it's called. But beautiful lake right over there, and the spots are right on the water, so that's definitely something we'll take advantage of next time. The goose box worked flawlessly. I hope you saw the video when we pulled it out here, and you got to see how the dampening motion and the suspension kind of came into play with the airbag in there. Everything has been working pretty good overall. Don't have too many complaints aside from the plumbing issue. On the outside sprayer ports, everything worked really well aside from connecting and disconnecting that momentary, opening of the water where it kind of shoots everywhere. I got cameras mounted on the RV. I went with the Blink system. A lot of people have said good things about it. We use it on various different areas of our home and property, and it works well. I put a camera up here, have one in the back, there's another one behind, and then 2 more on the other side. There's 5 cameras. I'll probably add a few more just for some other angles. We have a hotspot that's also inside of the RV that's connected to the solar system, so we have constant power going to it, and I have the ability to view the cameras even when it's in storage, which is really cool, and it's a great extra level of security, especially considering how data light those cameras are. They don't use a lot of data because they only capture motion whenever you're in front of them, so they're probably capturing me walking around right now. I put the other little cage right there on that one. I had 2 of them that were the same size, that's why I didn't get the smaller one right here, but it's holding on really well. The Furrion camera system worked really well. Overall, it's been a good trip. Again, just a little bit more stressful than a typical trip because we're doing all the shakedown stuff. But I'm going to continue getting everything cleaned out, flushing out the line. I got to get my black tank hose so I can use the black tank flush right here, clean the line out, and then we will be ready to pack up and hit the road. Anyways, I sure hope you enjoyed these videos on our shakedown trip. This was a 2-night trip that we took to Victoria, Texas, or right outside of Victoria, Texas. It's actually in Goliad County, which is right outside of Victoria. And it's a nice park. Definitely had our own little secluded area away from all the other people. We came during the week, so we didn't really have to deal with, you know, the weekend and all the packed spots and, you know, everyone around you. So it gave us a really good opportunity to spend some time with the RV, really dial in some of the things we needed to do, get everything straightened away, and find some problems. So we should get that fixed. I'll try to film it whenever they send a technician out to fix it, because I think that that's going to be something important. Okay, so we are hitched up and pulling out, and one thing I just wanted to remind you all, so this is a tree that is positioned between these two spots, and before I started moving, I did my walk around and verified how close this tree was. But you can see that this tree hangs about 5 feet into this spot, which means I had to back my fifth wheel up and swing wide to avoid hitting this tree. Now I'm going to hit some of the small little leaves there. None of those should be able to do any damage, but you always want to be very careful to check your surroundings whenever you're leaving. Now, because I swung wide, I had to move this park bench. So this picnic bench was about 3 feet further up, and the swing of my trailer might have missed it, but it could have hit it. So just out of abundance of caution, I went ahead and slid the picnic table up so I'd be able to make that turn. The other thing you also want to keep in mind is when you do this, you're making possibly a sharper turn, so you want to make sure that you have the clearance in your bed to be able to perform a maneuver like this. But again, these are just things you need to keep an eye on, because you might have said, okay, I've missed the tree, but because I paid so close attention to that, what else could I have possibly contacted by maneuvering the truck like this? Or if you said, okay, I adjusted the fifth wheel so I wouldn't hit the bench, well, could I have then hit the tree? Right now, I'm going to hit a little bit of the tree, but I should be able to swing wide of it and avoid it completely. Anyways, guys, we are heading back home. This was definitely an interesting trip. Again, most shakedown trips they're just designed for you to get out there, use the RV, and see what things need to be fixed, see how you need to arrange it so it fits your lifestyle. We've done it with every RV. We did it with the Beacon. The only significant issue we had was the plumbing, or still is the plumbing, because of the gray valve not working. And then the secondary ones would be some of the, you know, valances inside that we can take care of. And then, of course, the little trim next to the door, which I already fixed. That was an easy fix. But again, always keep an eye on your surroundings. This is super important because some of these stiffer branches up here could easily tear the roof of your RV, or you can see my solar panel there, could easily damage the solar panel. Anyways, guys, I sure hope you've enjoyed this short series of videos showcasing the shakedown trip that we took our brand new Coachman Brookstone BTB RV Concept Edition on. And as I think you've figured out now, no RV is perfect, even when the RV is made in collaboration with a YouTube channel and it goes through PDI. Guys, if you haven't had a chance, please take a moment, subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up, and wish us a safe trip home. We'll talk to you again very soon.